wallet is sobbing. I can hear it. I can hear it in the hall now. It is breaking down, crying.
So I'm here with Thomas Bellet, another one of our awesome Patreons, all the way from Arizona in the United States, via the European country of France. So we're calling him a European, definitely for our purposes. How are you, Thomas?
Doing excellent. How are you doing?
Excellent, yeah. We could do this in French if I could speak French, you know. It would be actually very useful for me over here if I could speak better French, but yeah, not going to happen.
Bah oui, il y a peut-être des subscribeurs de Patreon en France.
That's it, yeah. You can come on and do our little please subscribe in French.
Yeah, a little
at the end of the show.
Translation after Mal. We'll translate all the bios.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. And we can get a sign language person and a German guy. We have a couple of German guys. So, yeah, we could be well covered here.
I like it.
Just an awful lot of work, though. That's the only problem. Right. And how did you find the Ashes of Agbendor? Was it to your liking?
Yeah, I think after a few days settling in, it's a really fantastic wave. It was, I was taken by surprise. I think a lot of us had speculation, and I love the speculation part of the community. I think it's really fun, but we need to manage our expectations too, because it was, everybody got their speculations and guesses wrong. Essentially, no dragon, no dragon yet. But as the dust settled, and I went back and I looked at every release, it's grown more and more on me over the days. There's a few figures that were really just a bang out job that I absolutely loved, and a few that were more, I could take them or leave them. But overall, I thought it was really good. Change to All Stars. I like this new approach, and I enjoyed the variety of characters that we had, rather than two factions versing each other. It was a variety across all the factions except the barbarians and noble bears. So sure Rich was disappointed with that, but
he was, yeah. we found other ways to annoy him, don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love that spread across the faction. I remember in one of our episodes, it wasn't about this particular wave, but I think it was when we were doing a little bit the predictions from at the start of the year of how we thought the year would play out. I kind of thought it would be cool if there was a wave where we had like a figure from each faction, for example, or I was thinking more like maybe if they were going to redo major characters or something like that, yeah, just do one from every faction. But this is another cool way.
Mm-hmm.
It gives maybe people the choice. Do they want a couple? Do they want a couple of extras of this guy, and maybe they can pass on a few because it's not their thing. And then there will also be the normal crew that get their all in and they're happy with that, and obviously maybe they're extras for customs or pop and swaps or whatever. So yeah, I think overall, yeah, probably very balanced in that way for sure.
Yeah, and the parts reuses, I mean, that's part of the game with Mythic Legions, and it always has been. That's what allows for the pop and swap compatibility with everything, and it makes it easier for those of us that aren't astute painters. We've got more options on the table of different pieces that we can use for making our own custom figures without having to bust out the paintbrushes. So I really like that, and I think a lot of the pieces really get transformed with the way that they tackle their paints. I mean, some of these faces, you don't recognize what it used to be, and it takes a little bit more of a deep dive to figure out where that piece actually came from originally. So it's like if we were asking Legos to reinvent their plugs, it's not going to happen. That's part of the collection that we.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting you bring up Lego there, because there's a website called, I think it's called New Elementary, and they're an actual website that's dedicated to talking about when Lego has a new release. I think they do January, there's an April, and there's a summer drop of a lot of stuff. They compile all the new pieces, that are either new colors of new pieces or new molds. And there's always a lot fewer molds, of course, that's normal. But even in Lego, which is a massive company with, huge amount of sales, doing new tool is not that common, you know? So, and actually some of the genius of a lot of Lego stuff is how they kind of reuse the parts.
Exactly.
And I think it's a little bit similar here, isn't it? Like, I remember I used to collect a bit of Lego, and like one of the houses, they used the croissant pieces in white as these kind of deco on these kind of Art Deco Parisian kind of windows, and they don't look like croissants then. They just look like kind of, sculpture that kind of goes around the window. So it's just awesome how they reuse some of that stuff. And I think we get a bit of that here sometimes with the Horsemen. So you said you're not a big customizer. I mean, you have David Williams not far away from you there, so I suppose you could knock over and say, Dave, need a bit of painting done. He probably has a big queue though,
Oh, I'm sure. And, I've actually got a few head sculpts from him that I've picked up. That's how we met in the first place. We met at Legion's Con 2022. Wow. Yeah. Really great story. I went to Jeremy's table, and it was one of the main stops that I had on my list. Flew out from Arizona with my best friend Sam, who didn't collect anything Legions at the point. He was just coming along for the ride. And on my list, I want to get these goblins from Mythic Customs from Jeremy. I picked them up, went outside to take a quick break, and I meet this guy over there who's asking me, "Hey, have you picked up anything cool today?" And I said, "Yeah, these two goblins, they are absolutely amazing." And he goes, "Oh, I painted those." And I was like, "Oh, wow. That's how tight this community is." And he just looked like he was from Arizona, kind of. I don't know. Maybe we have a certain look.
He just looked cold in New Jersey, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We were the ones bundled up, And I asked him, where are you from? And he said, Tucson. I said, oh, wow, I'm in Phoenix. We're 2 hours apart. We met in New Jersey. And then we've just become really good friends ever since then. And just planning different trips together and getting together for different toy shows. So, I try to lean on the community for the customizing aspect, and then take a lot of inspiration from Bill, Dorklair with his pop and swaps.
Absolutely, yeah.
The community as a whole has really inspired me with creativity. And so while I don't paint, I've bought, some Citadel and Vallejo paints. I've done a couple heads from Von Burke, and I really enjoy it. But I've got so many different hobbies within, the passion, the photography. I like to make dios. I like to just set up my displays. So it's, where do I put my time and not stretch myself too thin? So
totally, yeah. You do a bit of photography as well, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the...
It's your main thing, is it?
Yep, that's probably my favorite part, is taking these scenes and ideas that I have in my head and kind of these stories that we all create. When we see these figures, we imagine them in a certain setting or fighting a certain character, and I like to recreate that. And instead of, writing it out, it's setting it on the table. I enjoyed creating my own dioramas when I have the time, just with some foam and some paints, and creating a setting. So I've kind of fallen into shooting more and more Legions over the last few years, and it's really become my muse almost. Kind of take a lot of inspiration from Trevor. I got his calendar a few years back, and every month I try to get inspiration from that, awesome shot that he's got to recreate something. So it's definitely my favorite part of the hobby is getting the photography done and just taking it out of my brain and putting it into tangible format.
And a little bird tells me you were actually involved in a toy photography panel at a recent convention. Was it a convention there in Arizona? Or?
Yeah, we had our big Comic-Con, if you will. Nobody can use that name anymore, so it's called Phoenix Fan Fusion, but it's our version of Comic-Con. It's a huge event, and we had our first toy photography panel this past 2 weeks ago.
Cool.
we were 5 of us local guys that do toy photography all got together and just talked about the creative process, how we approach the art, some tips and tricks for lighting or settings on the camera, the equipment we use. Just really fun. We had a pretty good showing, almost 50 people, I would say, in the crowd. And that was surprising because it was on Sunday. It was one of the last panels of the day.
Oh yeah, that's the graveyard slot, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's our first go at this. So we got the slot that we got, and we were really enthused with the turnout. So hopefully it just keeps growing, and next year we'll have another panel. So
yeah, and you get into prime time.
Yep.
And did you get a bit of interaction from the audience and stuff like that as well, or?
Yeah, it was actually, I want to say 50-50. We spent about 30 minutes kind of introducing ourselves and going over our approach to the craft. My friend David Fitzmaurice is a customizer, not with legions, but more so just chopping up figures and sculpting on top of them. And he was our host and kind of curated different questions for the group. And we had about 30 minutes of that. And then we opened it up to the crowd, and we almost ran out of time towards the end. Everybody was able to come up. Well. Yeah. Everybody was able to come up to us, and we each had a small dio set up with a couple figures. I brought a Valiant Knight and Snag and had them kind of dueling off in a castle setting that I had created. So I brought a couple Ulanzi lights to demonstrate, ways of lighting and different approaches to setting the scene and the atmosphere. And we each had a very different look. There were some guys that had Marvel Legends, another guy that had more of a horror theme. So it was really cool to get the interaction after that 30 minutes. Everybody came up. We also all printed out little pictures, so little like handouts to give out to everyone. So I had a few different shots that I printed out and was able to give away to folks with some information on, my Instagram. And we were able to kind of grow the community and engage to get other people into the craft. And I had some really, really interesting questions just about, lighting and how we approach. Do we set up a scene first and then pick characters, or do we pick characters and then build a scene around them? So it was really interactive. So enjoyed it.
Cool. And give people here your Instagram so they can go and check out your toy photography.
It's T-Bellet, TBELLET. Pretty simple.
So that's an easy one. Right, Thomas. So to get us out of here, I have 2 very difficult questions that I've asked everybody. And one is, if you can only order one figure from the wave, what are you going for?
I'm going with the Malignancy. I think
the Goblin 2-pack. That's a smart one.
Our king needs some truth.
You got, yeah, and you get 2 different, like you get a 2.0 and a 1.0 build in there. So that was an interesting aspect to that pack. That's the first time we've had a 1.0 and a 2.0 mixed together and parts for both. Plus those bear goblin arms and legs are just going to be fantastic with the existing figures I have on the shelf. And plus, you said only one, but I'll be getting a couple of those Malignancy 2 packs. I mean, that's one thing to order. So you're allowed that. I think a couple of other people have said that. So there's obviously a few more smart people. And then if I was to see you're all in on the steps of your house and I went and stole one, what would you be least upset about getting stolen out of the pack?
Oh, man.
You could still like it, of course, and it sounds like you do because you're having a tough time here.
Yeah, I don't want to upset Jade Russo, so we got to keep that one.
Oh, don't worry. I mean, you can't keep everyone happy. I've realized that after 60 odd episodes of the podcast. So
yeah, so maybe I'll piss off Rich and say the Centaur.
Well, you're not alone. He's gonna be crying when he listens back to this episode with all these amazing interviews I've done with people. So Centaur has been a popular one. So what is it? Is it a space thing? Is it just a Centaur thing?
Primarily the space thing. I think the the sensor, the paints on it are really amazing, and I like that they went with a softer gray blue instead of the Shadow Elves. I'm not a big fan of that blue that they've used with that. So the paint and the look of it is great, and I think Trevor's photography sells it even more when you see the way he's got that presented, so intimidating. Like just all of them really. When you see his photos, you want the figures even more. But
That's for sure.
I think primarily a space thing. Even though I've got several trolls and I like the ogres, and it's I can fit a couple more goblins or dwarfs where that centaur would go. So
awesome. Well, Thomas, that's been awesome. Thanks a million for taking the time, and we'll try and have a couple of you Arizona boys on before we get to Legion's Con.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
A little Arizona episode, why not? Especially as you've got the Euro connection there. So love it. And thanks for wearing the shirt. That's awesome.
Merci, monsieur.
Derrière.
My wallet is sobbing. I can hear it in the hall now. It is breaking down crying.
So I'm here again with another one of our Patreons, another big supporter of ours. It's Kevin Boots. How are you doing, Kevin?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. I think you're my 5th interview on this series, and it's been a lot of fun so far. We get a lot of varying answers and interesting opinions, but I think generally positive, so that's good. How are your overall thoughts on how the Ashes of Agbendor went down, and what you think of it?
I liked the wave overall. And the Azap is good. I like the rogue, and I can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
Oh,
I especially like
the cat guy. Yeah, I'm very bad at the names. I have them here. Kai Pasha. There you
go. I especially like the 1.0 Shadow Elf head in that hat.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. I'm eventually when I'll place an order. I don't know if I'll get an all in. I know that the blue shield, I want a couple, because that original Night Builder set is one of my grails. I would love to have that set, and this is probably a better set overall.
Yeah,
I think for that. I like everything, but I was trying to save up for Legion's Con.
Yeah.
I got to kind of temper how much I'm spending.
Yeah, I was looking at as well, I generally just do an all-in order, and then eventually if I want extras, I might order them I would order them from the local retailers around here, and maybe even closer to the time. Depends. If I really want extras of a character, and I'll pre-order them right away so that the retailer is able to kind of include me in their order. But otherwise, I'll look at the time of delivery and say, okay, I think this figure is awesome in hand. I might need a few more for customs or for, army building or whatever, having a couple of. But for this wave, I'm I was kind of thinking, should I go away from the all-in and maybe, because there is a couple of characters, and I'll talk about it when I'm on with Mal and Rich, that I'm really, I could do a good few of these. And there's others that I'm a little bit more, could I kind of leave it and pick them up later down the line, So it's a tricky one.
Right.
And what about how this ties into the lore? I mean, how did you see it, with we had the kind of tease during the week, and then the wave, did it kind of match up for you, or?
No, I didn't. I had originally said I thought it was going to be, I actually think I might have posted in the Discord that I thought it was going to be 9 to 10, and then I scaled that back. My original thought was right.
Yeah.
How everything is with how they presented the wave, it's not what I expected, but it fits in.
Yeah.
And it does answer some stuff, especially as a 2.0, what she actually is and what the, tattoos. I really enjoyed that bit of it.
Yeah.
So overall, everything is I like everything. I like how it's kind of like spread amongst different factions.
Yeah.
I would have liked maybe, I think, been talking to some people, and more of a story-based wave going forward from this might be helpful for some people. But the lore that it talked about and presented, especially with the First Great War stuff that they included in that, I actually like the Gold Skeleton too. I never liked the Gold Skeleton. But now that it has that lore,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, now you have a reason to like it. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think anyone that likes that angel figure, they're suddenly going, oh, I need a gold skeleton as well now, because it's linked together, which is smart for the horsemen from getting people maybe to buy a figure they mightn't have wanted.
Yeah.
And also just cool for us
It worked
people
on
that
me.
like the, yeah, exactly. But there's also lots of us that like the lore, and then how that neatly ties in is really cool. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that maybe, you know, if we look at this wave and then maybe what we get further down the road, that then the lore might all tie in together with, you know, the Second Great War and, you know, the fallen heroes, because I think maybe we were expecting some more things about the fallen heroes, other than we got the story of the goblins and the blue shield, which was
Right.
was a bit, you know, in a nod to that. But we didn't get maybe what we were expecting, which was maybe some of the big characters maybe died in the Second War, and there's maybe a version 2 to pay tribute to them, you know?
Yeah, and I think looking back on hindsight's 2020, but looking back, that's probably, I would imagine, more what the G-Con wave is going to be. If they're going to do like an Otho version 2, he's going to anchor that big wave.
Sure.
If they're going to do some of these other heavy or popular figure 2.0s, they're going to be in that way, because there's going to be a lot of new tooling.
Yeah.
The repaints don't bother me, because that's what the line's about.
True.
I know that some people have been complaining about that, but honestly, I mean, look at up until Advent, everything was a repaint.
Well, like some of the most sought after figures we see on the secondary market are from the Colosseum wave, and that's a repaint wave, you know. So
yeah,
and maybe it is a little bit that some people slept on those figures at the time, because it was very shortly after the Advent Kickstarter. So, you know, people are thinking, right, you know, I have all these new tooled figures now. Why do I want these repaints? And
right.
Turns out you do.
Well, and that's the thing, is I think that a lot of people are doing now too, is that we just got these in, I'm waiting for these other ones. Well, yeah, we've got 2 waves we're waiting on.
Yeah.
But some of the pieces in this wave we don't even have in hand yet.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, when we were doing our watch along, you know, we were saying, oh, is that a new piece? And it's like, oh no, it's from the Rising Suns, this figure. And you're like, but it's still new to me because I don't have it yet, you know. So that's interesting. And then from you're a very keen toy photographer. So which one of these figures would you think, Ryan, going to get this out and about taking photographs with?
Blue Shield, definitely.
Yeah,
because you can use that. It's a historical figure, but you can use it. It will slot right in with everything else. I don't think there's anything at the toy photography that I wouldn't want.
Sure.
There's several that I want more than others.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you like, I know you like taking shots with the female figures. So I guess Azza too is and you got the soft goods cloak, so you can do can do a bit of movement in the picture there with that, which is pretty awesome. And then if I told you could only get one from the entire wave, what would you have to go for?
I want to say the Rogue or Azza, but I think it would be that Gold Skeleton too.
Wow, you've really come around.
Well, I can think of a lot of cool pictures to take with that thing.
Yeah, because you like outdoor photography as well, so you can definitely play with the light there with the translucent wings, and I can. I'm looking forward to those shots. And what about if I told you had to pass on one of them, so if you're doing an all-in -1, what's the
Frost Ogre.
Frost Ogre, right?
Even though I really do like that figure.
Yeah.
I like the arch head instead of the
Me too, yeah.
ogre head. But yeah, probably that.
I see, yeah. Well, that's awesome. What about the future then for G-Con? What are you looking forward to most then if we're thinking about Link to this, what's coming down the line?
To be surprised.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, I like sitting here and thinking what they are going to give us, but
yeah,
they always give us something different and I like it anyway, so.
Yeah, so you get double the value. You get your own kind of headcanon and your own. That's why we love doing the predictions shows. It's really not important to be right. It's important to have fun and build your own thing. And we never get upset on the back of that we didn't get what we wanted. It's more just it's a bit of fun and hopefully a bit of entertainment for people. And would you be someone that'd be after that big 3-foot dragon? Do you have space for it? Do you have a desire for it?
Yes, I do. I don't have mine displayed like most people. Mine are all in plastic pencil boxes, basically, so I can grab them, put them in the
for
bag
photos and stuff. Yeah,
go outside. But a 3-foot dragon, I definitely would very much like to have.
It would be very cool, yeah, and it would definitely be a cool background piece for a shot or something, or
Yes,
yeah.
I would rather have a European style dragon than an Asian style dragon.
Okay,
myself.
Interesting. Yeah. I've actually I was out with my wife and kids for a little shopping trip because they were off this week, and we ended up in a cool bookshop. It was in Germany now, so the books were mostly in German. But she got this. My wife's big into dragons, and she got this cool coffee table book of all sorts of dragons. So I'm going to have to brush up on my German, but there's a lot of cool pictures in there of different types of dragons. So I'm maybe going to go through that, and if I find some cool ones, I'll post them on our Discord, and we can see what ones we prefer. But yeah, I think I'd be going with you, that more European type of dragon rather than the Asian. The Asian one could be something that maybe I get a reuse out of down the line, maybe in Figura Obscura or something, although depending on the size, that's going to be a a big logistical thing. So yeah,
right. But I mean, I think that if they were to do Figura Obscura Asian type of dragon from their legends or from their culture, they could reuse it in Legions as we already have Rhaegor with with his dragon shield. It could be another type of dragon.
Yeah,
there's several different types of trolls, so
absolutely, yeah, and the area is vast, so yeah, of course, there can be several different kind of cultural parts of mythos as well. Right, Kevin, that was amazing. Thanks very much for your thoughts on the Ashes of Agbendor and the rest of the year. Really looking forward to catching up with you again in November in New Jersey.
Yep.
You'll be there again, I assume?
Yes.
You going to intern or anything like that, or?
No, unfortunately, I'm not going to intern. I will be getting there early Friday.
Okay, cool. So we'll look out for you on Friday, and obviously, of course, over the whole weekend. Cheers. So I'm here with another one of our Patreons. It's Dylan, Legends Collector 1321 on the Instagrams. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, yeah. So it's been announced. We've had the Ashes of Agbendor. We've done our episode where we've talked all about what we predicted and then what we thought of it. And we're going to getting our patrons, or a good few of our patrons' view on it. And Dylan is the next one up on the list. So Dylan, what did you think overall of the Ashes of Agbendor? Did it hit the spot for you?
Yeah. So from what I was expecting, it's probably better in the long run for one big item that everyone wanted. But I'm pretty satisfied overall. There's a couple of things that I could probably pick up later on, but everything for the most part is pretty hitting heavy.
Cool. And did you kind of expect this type of a wave, or what was you, or were you listening too much to us and our version 2's talk, or?
I feel like I was expecting a few more version 2s, but this fits more of what they've been doing this time of year for the past few years. Like last year with All-Star 6, this is a lot closer to that than anything that anyone was speculating.
Yeah, I think people now are kind of settled on the fact that it's probably an All-Stars replacement wave. And how do you feel about, getting maybe All-Stars in like some lesser, maybe not candidates for version 2s initially, characters that are now version 2s instead of All-Stars maybe?
I think I'm okay with that. There's a few that I would want to go back and track down, but they just keep getting better. So I'd rather just, get all of them on the newer body with the better articulation and newer parts than backtracking and just getting the same thing over and over again. Not that I care about reuse, because that's what the whole line is built on. Sure. And that's what draws me in. But just if they can keep getting the articulation better and keep it looking as good, then I'm good with that either way.
Right. And you're not a completist. You're not one of these crazy guys that's gone back to get all that. But is there some that you have gone back to get over the years? Or?
So the big two were Balam and Vorgus, the first Vorgus. And
awesome. Yeah, they're two good choices. Yeah,
I spent like $300 twice on Vorgus because I got
my goodness.
And Balam, I got lucky at Legion's Con. I found one there for like $130, and then I got one on eBay for like $120.
Okay.
And I want a third one just to round it out, but I think I'm gonna hold off a bit and see if that. That comes
he might be the next, maybe the next mid-year wave. We might get a Balam version 2 or something like that. Wouldn't that be cool? And so you're the giveaway in your Instagram name. You're a Marvel Legends collector as well, or?
Yeah, that's where I started.
Gotcha.
So when I first made that account, it was Legends and NECA, Predator, and Aliens.
Cool.
And then just kind of the natural way that it goes, Mezco, Bandai, all that stuff. And finally, sorry.
No problem. You keep talking. Yeah.
Four Horsemen falls into my lap a few years ago, and now that's kind of the only thing that I need at this point.
But you live fairly local to New Jersey, is it? Or
about 40 minutes from the studio.
40 minutes, so you can stay at home during Legion's Con
if I wanted to.
It's probably not the best idea because if you want to stay and enjoy yourself, you have to get a very late,
I want a few guys in the lobby
taxi home. Exactly. You need. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one thing about being local. You have to make that decision. Do I stay in the hotel, even if I could avoid the expense? But you're just creating other problems for yourself.
Yeah, like that drive home last year. I left Sunday night. I should have stayed till Monday. I was so sad.
Yeah,
because I put on. You guys had just done one of your story episodes where.
That's right. Yeah, just before Legion's Con.
The one with the Emir. Yeah. So I put that on my way home.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I could just be talking to these people, but I guess I'm going to listen to it. And then I think it was Jesse did his live to wrap up the show.
That's right.
That night. I got home when that started. So it kind of felt like I was still part of it. But this year, I think I'm staying through Monday.
Yeah, if you can swing it. I mean, obviously, there's no point in us leaving Sunday night because you'd be basically all Saturday afternoon stressing about getting packed and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't really work. And then with the flights, we actually end up going quite late on Monday, even like after lunch we leave to the airport. So it's quite, in a way, it's kind of good for us because you get a wind down. It's not this kind of, you leave when it's still going crazy, and it's a kind of a shock to the system to be kind of back to normality almost. So I think that's a good way to kind of let it wind down naturally. And then, are you a customizer as well, or
Yes,
right? So painting and the whole lot, and
Yep. Painting, a little bit of sculpting when I can manage it.
oh, cool. So digital or
No, real,
real?
whatever,
So
whatever you
that's
want to
cool.
call it, physical.
Yeah. Physical sculpting, or yeah. And what sort of stuff do you use for that? Do you use green stuff,
Green
or do you
stuff.
use epoxy sculpt? Green stuff. Cool. And what's the thinking of this wave? Then has it got any kind of customs in mind, or
So the stuff that's really grabbing me is mostly pop and swaps, and then maybe a couple of heads just to
yeah?
do some variety. But there's some stuff that I would definitely want to see what I could do.
Awesome. Yeah. Often, yeah, the pop and swaps kind of you'd almost see them when they're there, and the wave is kind of there in front of you on the screen. But maybe the actual customs, unless you really have a specific one in mind, like a tribute custom or something, and you need a certain looking part. The other type of customs, I always find in hand is probably where those kind of come. So yeah, you wait till you get so that's when it can be tricky, when you think, oh no, I ordered 2 of the gold skeleton, but I actually realize I need 5.
That's the dangerous part. Well,
It is, but there is always, at least there has been recently, there's always retailers that have them at least for a couple of weeks or so after the
I'm lucky enough
shipping.
that I'm being so close to the studio. Chubsy Wubsy is right there.
Oh yeah, that's a cool shop as well. Yeah,
I hang out there all the time.
I've seen a couple of pictures of you when they had was it a birthday or
Chubsy's 50th birthday a couple weeks ago.
Ah, cool. Yeah. All right, so him and Rich, huh?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and then I got a couple of difficult questions to get us out of here. So, if you could only order one from this wave, so if I said to you, sorry, Dylan, times are tough, you can only order one. What are you getting?
Probably Yosef.
Oh, cool. And what's the reason behind that then? Just so you're an Aetheron guy, or?
I'm a knight guy. I won't just say Aetheron.
Cool.
I like
that's cool. There's a lot of
armor, but
actions at knights.
My brother's Hebrew name is Yosef.
Oh, cool.
So that stood out to me as soon as they said it, and it's not exactly the same thing, but Owain is one of my favorite knights that I have. Ignatius coming out soon. They go
well together, yeah.
And I love that look of not quite just a white knight, but that regal, shiny.
Yeah.
And the wings are great. I'll buy as many wings as I could get.
Yeah, because we don't have that many of those kind of wings available at the moment. The evil wings are more easy to come by.
I actually have a Valiant Knight with the red wings from.
Oh, cool. Oh, they're from Xenothon.
Yeah, from Xenothon.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
I'm playing around with the tunic from Red Death, the robe.
Oh,
Try to tuck it under I think it's either Bill or Jeremy did it when Red Death came out, so I kind of want to see if I can get that to work with this.
Cool. Are you one of those guys that you see something and then you're going back to Instagram to try and find who posted it? Or I'm that guy as well sometimes.
All the time.
Or sometimes like when I'm painting a sculpt and I remember somebody who did like certain eyes on them. Say if you have like an alien sculpt, but you're like, oh, somebody did actual real eyes on this, and it looked cool. And I'm kind of trying to remember who did it to see if it, looks the way I want it to look, and I can maybe do something similar. So that's always a cool one. And then if I was to get inside your all-in box and steal one of your figures, which would you be the least upset about if I stole one? That's a tougher one, possibly.
Either the Frost Ogre or the Centaur, probably.
Right. And why is that? Just space issues, or? Probably
that's part of it. But the Frost Ogre, I bought heads for the genie, for Calazir, to turn into like Frost Orcs. So I kind of have that covered. And the ogre bodies are just kind of a little too outdated for for my taste. No knock on Shredaway or
Yeah, no,
anything.
of course.
Just the
Yeah.
elbows on them. They're like sculpted with the joint is part of the sculpt. So when you bend
Gotcha,
it
yeah.
like stops at like 45 degrees.
Yeah, it's not the best for those two-handed poses.
And for the Shadow Centaur, if it was gray like Xenothon, that might be my number one, because I would do a ton of Stoneworks.
Gotcha,
just with that big brute torso. But from what I'm seeing, it's more of like a bluish, purplish gray.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really match anything. But I'll see what happens when it comes out.
That's true. I really love the head, the new head on that, but I'm a little bit similar to you. It's not my favorite in the wave. But
you had said in your last episode how you didn't like the Tharnog head on that.
Yeah.
I don't like the Tharnog head as is.
Okay,
so
wow.
I love the look of it, but I guess to make it fit the body and all the armor and the pieces that are on Tharnog, the way that the joint is socketed in the head, it's really forward. So if you plug it on it without anything around the neck, his neck is like sticking out and it doesn't sit down all the way.
Gotcha. Yeah, you need you're right. You do need all the gear. I really like it as a look, and I love Tharnog.
And it's kind of big.
But
although
it is, it is a little bit big. But I never mind that. I always find too small stands out more than too big. But
that's true.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't like it as a second head for the Centaur, but I don't mind if they were going to throw in a second head. Cool. That's a good one because it's a brute head, and they don't need to retool, of course. So it's not that I wouldn't buy it because of that second head. It's just I wouldn't use that second head.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to end up with all of them anyway. So
yeah, I'm toying between, do I order an all-in or do I kind of pick and choose and then maybe pick up the other ones later?
That's kind of my thought too.
Yeah,
load up on the buildings and
So it's a tricky one when it's a year away. If it was, even a year's not too bad, but I don't know. See, I could make a better decision on this kind of stuff if I knew what was coming in Leech's Con and all that. But of course, so then I normally just get an all-in and then kind of order a few from retailers, maybe closer to the time. Or it's tricky. It's very tricky. Very good. Well, anything else going on with you before I let you go?
Something funny I noticed. Being that Balam is my favorite mythic, I was super excited for another cat.
Yeah.
And then they showed Kaipacha, and I can't say that I wasn't disappointed.
Oh, right. Why?
Everyone seems to love that one, and it's a great figure. Valak was my first vampire, and I love Valak. I think I'm just burnt out on that body.
On that build.
Yeah, like whatever the chest plate is, doesn't matter. It's just, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's boring, but I have a lot of figures that use those same parts.
Gotcha, yeah, I suppose that is the point if you got the Lord Bushati figure as well, and maybe Lord Bardrick. Bushati was darker color as well, and Valak and this one. So I can see it, but I really like this one, especially the cloth arms and legs. I love it.
So I think I might do like an all black.
Oh yeah,
on it,
that would be
and
cool.
Just some variation between three. I really like how it looks with the hooded heads on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's true. Also, maybe it's just a proportion thing for me.
Yeah.
But the cat heads need that thicker neck for me. So I have Cody Cat has the Varg neck brace.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah,
I like that. So I might play around with that. And those don't really work with those torsos.
No, they don't.
They need
with those ones.
The muscular build. So that might be something that I have to play with.
Cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. You could use the black cat head from the heads pack maybe in that black Kaipacha. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Very good, Dylan. Well, thanks a million for joining us on this episode 70. It's going to be, and thanks for all your support to the Patreon. It's been awesome.
thanks for hanging out with me at LegionsCon last year.
Oh yeah, well, can't wait till this year, and we can do it all again.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Awesome.
So I'm here again with more awesome people, more Patreons. It's Gwion and Megan, all the way from Wales, the best Welsh part of this podcast, for sure. Rich won't listen. I'm sure he won't listen.
You can't dispute it, then,
No, exactly. No, he probably would agree. So there you go. So how are you guys doing?
We're good, thank you. We're good. Yeah,
We're good.
yeah. A Monday feels like a Friday today, but I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we've had a couple of days to digest the whole thing, so that's the good part.
Yeah.
So how, in general, have you been feeling about the reveal that we had on Friday, the Ashes of Agbendor?
I think, like, personally, my excitement for it's grown since the reveal. I think it's kind of, I think it's the wrong word to use, like festered a bit. Like the excitement has kind of bubbled up since the reveals initially, and I've get to see the response from the community as well, and the positivity around it's been nice. Do you know what I mean? And the creativity and the appreciation for certain parts. And I think, I personally think that, like, the exploration of the First Great War's lore, I think that's something quite exciting. So I wasn't expecting that, as I don't think a lot of people were. So that's for me personally. I don't know about Megs. So. Putting on the
I think that's a little bit underrated part, and I think that's something that, as we talk about it on our show, and obviously you're talking about it here now, that people will start to pay a bit more attention to. I think in the reveal shows, everyone is looking at the figures, and okay, there might be bits of lore that are kind of standing out, but the overall story, I think, is still coming together for this wave, and it goes beyond just this wave, So I think it'll always be interesting to look back and see where these characters fit in,
Yeah.
So I think that's exciting.
And the roots.
And you, Megan, how was it for you?
I think there's some really standout characters. I think the whole wave as a whole, like the soft goods, is just incredible. Like the entire wave, it's worth the entire wave just for those soft goods. Like every figure had a really lovely set of soft goods, and it's like, oh, okay, like you could take that and add them to different things. For me, it awoke a love for goblins. I've never liked goblins before, but that pack, I was just like, ooh, actually, I think I do now.
It's really sweet, yeah. And there's something really cool about that kind of pig-faced guy.
Yes, it's the pig.
I don't know why. Yeah.
It makes it look cuter.
But it doesn't either.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. There's a little bit of that kind of babe thing going on, isn't there?
Something familiar about it, which is really sweet.
He'll stab you in the back with an axe, but at the same time, look at his little piggy nose.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the anthropomorphic thing of it as well, because I know that you both like those kind of characters, don't you?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it definitely plays into that.
Block,
for you anyway. So
I also like the knife. I love just how thoughtful they were to tie in the Knight Legion builder in with the previous Knight Legion builders, like how it all came together. Like I just thought that was really thoughtful, and you could make an entire army and every character would be different with those three.
Yeah. So
the ties in, like, yeah.
And
then also maybe teeing it up in the future if we get a version 2 Otho, that he's going to fit really nicely in with this pack, and that's why if people can, you should definitely get a few of this pack, because if you're going to get your version 2 Otho, you're going to have an awesome little crew there.
Yeah. I was listening to the Enablers today, and they said exactly that, the Otho's cult on each side. So that's a nice way of looking at it. And as we talk all the time, like the studio have their nice little ways of making you buy more things to tie into the lore, So they
totally, yeah, absolutely. And what about Azza too? Megs, are you fan?
She got the upgrade that the character deserves, I think,
and needs
needed. It's nice to have sort of an updated version of that character, because she's gorgeous,
and the lore behind her as well.
It's nice that she's got a class type thing. Not
A
class.
necromancer and a
Shade.
faction. What do you mean?
She's a shade, isn't she?
Oh,
You
yeah,
don't
a
know
wraith,
her
you mean.
race.
Yeah, race.
but-
Yeah, race. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also I always found with her, I found she was a cool character and the figure was cool, but it looked a bit like what other figure could we make with these parts in this Kickstarter kind of thing. And now they've had a chance to go, actually, now we have the whole library.
Yeah.
How could we make her exactly the way we wanted to? And I think that's where she's gone to now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have a really cool female figure in
Yes.
the reveals, at least one.
Yeah. I think she's nice.
My daughter to have
Yeah, there's not enough
Yeah,
females
she'll
that
be
agree
happy.
with her.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But you know, there's more waves coming, I'm sure, and there will be more. And because the Bastet figure from the Figura Obscura is really cool, and those parts, the female parts, I was super surprised how good she was.
Yeah.
You know, I was expecting to be like, oh, Anubis is going to be by far my favorite, but no, absolutely. I think Bastet is actually the better figure in that one.
I agree.
That's a big thing for me to say.
She cuts a very nice, like, just as a silhouette, essentially. You know, it's plastic, really
it's beautiful, and just the way she moves and everything, it just feels like a really good figure. You know, really good quality.
I agree.
And how are we thinking then, Gwion, for customs here? I mean, obviously, you've got dwarf parts in the Goblin 2-pack, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It can never... And I was saying to the lads, we might get the dwarf 2-pack parts earlier in this box set, because this might actually come before Rising Sun's Wave.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think about that, really. Oh, no. So, yeah. I have to buy more now.
Oh, no, my wallet.
The wallet's taking a beating anyway. So, it's... there's a lot there, lots of pieces of stuff. You've got a lot of knights there, and the different colours really lend themselves well to lots of mix and match. And I think there's no real clash in terms of colour either, you know? So there's a lot of parts that really work together well. So I'm trying to think what else you've got there, really. You've got the Frost Ogre. Frost Ogre.
He's cool, but...
Cool.
I'm not sure I'd be customizing with him.
No.
But if you wanted to do an ogre custom, you know, or a group of frost ogres, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, maybe paint.
Yeah.
What he could do with is maybe a couple of custom weapons, where he can do them up with that kind of frosty effect. Because I think I said it to someone else on these interviews or someone else brought it up, that the ogre weapons are a little bit the same all the time, and could do with a few new ones at this point. Now there's a lot of awesome third-party ones, so, you know, good for that. But yeah.
I think, you need the bit with the character now, specifically with the Frost Ogre, you kind of do need specific weapons for him. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a good call. But I think with like characters like Kaipacha and Chue, like the boots there, for example, no one's going to have to paint. No one's going to get them in Cosmic Legions anyway. But it's just those little parts that you take away. Like I've been using a lot of the non-armored arms, you know, and it's just those like so many figures now that are completely mismatched because I've just taken their arms. So it's I'll take any opportunity.
An armless horde at this point.
Yeah. So an amputee.
Yeah, you need just
figures. Like
you need a. Gwion will be shouting for an arms pack, you know, and be like, "What? Like weapons? Is it arms, weapons? No, actual arms. Just
dwarf scale, perfect."
Yeah, that's why I found that is it the Lee figure who comes with the extra upper arms and upper legs. That was a brilliant deal there.
Really good,
because I had a couple of fodder bins with lots of parts that could do with arms and legs, and I got a few of him, and he managed then to give me a couple of new figures. So
I forgot about that. I had his arms in a drawer, so he's gonna gift his spare arms to someone. I'm sure I'll find someone that link them to.
Very good. Now to get us out of here, we got a couple of difficult questions. So firstly is, if you could only order one, and I'll give you the Goblin 2-pack as one thing. So if you could only order one item, what would it be?
The Goblin 2
Yeah, I think it is the Goblin 2-pack, to be honest. The second would be
Goblin
the...
2-pack. Look, no wonder they're married, huh? They're even thinking the same.
Yeah, that was both that it. We like that. It's nice. I think if I were to choose a second, if I was to go rogue and go for something else, probably be the Blue Shield Soldier, just for the parts.
Yeah, it's an absolute.
You talked a lot about
Caipacha maybe as well. I don't know. It's split between those two, I think, for my votes.
Those three items are customizer's dream, and there is other figures here that also are good for that. But I think those three, you could make a lot of customs with those parts.
Yeah,
so that's for sure. And then on the other end of the scale, if you'd ordered your all in and I came along and stole one out of the box, which one would you be least upset?
Possibly the Shadow Centaur, maybe just for space alone. It's not a criticism of the figure. Absolutely no way to put that. So I do like kind of the twisted thing, but yeah.
I love the mounts, but I'm really struggling as well for shelf space. And you, Megan?
Probably the troll ogre.
Frost ogre
for me.
Frost ogre.
Yeah.
He doesn't really fit in my fantasy world.
Disney inspired.
Yeah, Disney inspired fantasy. He probably does fit in that somewhere.
Maybe,
Disney's covered. But
a bad guy. You don't want to get the bad guys. You want the good guys to win. So we don't need him creating hassle.
Oh.
Well, very good. And how do you think that lines us up then for Legion's Con and all that kind of stuff? I think it's going to be very exciting.
I don't want to predict anymore. I'm afraid to kind of put my.
No, you don't need to.
Yeah,
you don't need to predict. No. But I think that this is a kind of the classical mid-year wave now. I think that's clear. That's what it is. And like I said to someone else on this, that the Colosseum wave is probably one of the most popular now in hindsight, where people are. And that's a very similar wave to this, like a lot of repaints and parts reusage.
It is.
And probably that people slept on it a little bit because of where it fell as well, because it was right after that second Kickstarter. So, that could be a bit of that here. So,
I think it lines.
What I would say is.
Sorry, go interrupted.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, like, just lore wise, I think with the Legion's Cons reveal now, G-Con and stuff, I think the furthering the story, and I know that you guys mentioned it in your last episode with Mal specifically saying that he remembers someone, Jeremy stating somewhere, that they're going to be more story-focused waves now, So I think it's just furthering that, potentially, hopefully seeing some characters from the First Great War, some maybe familiar names and familial names, the Avalon maybe before they fell to darkness. I think that'd be cool. So I think there's a lot of potential there to just tap onto little things that we'll probably explore further in the book when that does come out.
Yeah, I mean, because that's it. We're going to get not one but two books of lore eventually, and so there's a lot of stuff to be filled out there. And if you look at it a little bit in a way like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, a lot of those characters, especially in the Targaryens, for example, in the Game of Thrones, they're linked kind of to each other, but they're different lines of the same family.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool to have a little bit of that here. I think we will definitely get that. So, yeah, I mean, one of my favorite bits of lore in this was the way they kind of explained the gold skeleton with the angel.
Yeah, that was clever.
That was cool.
That was awesome. Yeah. That really leveled up I always had a soft spot for the gold skeleton, but literally because it's like shiny and I like gold.
And you're a magpie.
We were magpie,
yeah. And if you're like me, Gwion, as a customizer, like silver is pretty easy to paint. Gold can be a bit of a pain unless you have a really good paint. There's it's actually one of the hard things to find is a really good gold paint, in the hobby.
Yeah, I've recently picked up the Ralph suggested them the wargaming. I can't remember what they're called now. The new line where they've specifically
the Fanatic Army Painter Fanatic. Yeah, they're supposed to be very good. I'm possibly in the market for those. So
gold's
let me know how it is. Yeah. Gold is. I mean, it seems like it would be good, but a lot of them are thin, and you need a couple of coats, and eventually you can make them look good. But compared to silver, lots of silvers just go on one coat, you're done. So it's a different gig altogether. Very good, guys. Well, awesome to chat.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So happy to have some nice Welsh people on for a change.
You won't listen. It's fine. It's fine.
Here, we'll give him.
Wallet is sobbing.
We'll give him
I can hear it. I can hear it in the hall now. It is breaking down, crying.
This cameo.
We've given him his word. We've given his word. Cheers.
Ideal.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
All right, so here I am with Jade Russo, JRU Toys. He's another one of our Patreon supporters from the start, and so happy to have you on, Jade.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Yeah,
we talked. The last time I saw you was in Legions Con, and you were sad about not being able to get us that. What was it, pecan pie? Or
yeah. So my nana's infamous recipe. Pecan pie. So, I actually got confiscated at TSA, and we had talked about it. I know you guys are fans of Southern cooking, so I wanted to do something on, I was like, pecan pie.
Absolutely,
that's a staple. And who confiscates a pie?
I don't know. I actually follow, it's funny enough, I follow TSA on Instagram, and they often have these funny things, people ask them funny questions. And there's been a lot weirder shit than a pecan pie on that they've said is okay, so...
So we're gonna try again next year. If not, then
I
don't know, man. Maybe we'll just order some crawfish and send it over there and do a good old crawfish.
We'll just have to come down to Texas. How about
come on?
We'll have to do a.
We'd love it.
Seeing as we were just saying, we haven't got much of a summer yet here over in Europe, so maybe we need to go to the summer over in Texas. That would
come on, Texas summer or something else, man. It's we're full swing right now.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd need a few days to acclimatize first, though. Couldn't.
I've been trying for the last 25 years, man. So good luck.
Yeah,
hot's hot, no matter where you're at.
You kind of never get used to it. Anyway, being a fan of Legions, what were your thoughts on the Ashes of Agbendor reveals? How did you feel it went?
So first off, I think everybody in the Legions community had it wrong. Everyone was expecting version 2 wave. Yeah, everybody. And I loved everyone's predictions. I thought it was going to be, I was right there too. I'm like, oh, we're getting Otho. We're getting, So I think outside of that, it was great. I love the reveals. Really, really cool stuff. It's it almost had not necessarily a Legion builder wave, but kind of had that feel you're getting just builder. I love that. And the parts, we're getting so many parts, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, when you think of that Night Builder 3, that or the one that they kind of redid, the one that came in, the famous one in that 1.5 wave, and this alone is kind of something people have been after. And I do think there is just a little bit of maybe people got the wrong end of the stick in terms of the promotional stuff this week, or maybe a couple shows like us maybe predicting things that were.
I think people just, it's with a lot of things. They just have their expectations. So, they have their expectations, I guess. And when it doesn't meet it, it's a complete letdown. So I like to go into these things just kind of dumb. I just, whatever, throw it at me, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it figure by figure, and if you had no other context other than just to look at the figure and say, hey, what do you think of this action figure? No other info about it.
Pound for pound, it's a strong wave. It's a heavy hitter. I'd be willing to bet on that Night Builder 3. That's got to be the most parts we've gotten in a builder. Has to be.
Yeah. Can't wait to see the packaging for that, or when it turns up and going through the trays. Those trays are going to be pretty chock full, huh?
Oh yeah, that'll be a fun one. That'll be a Ziploc bag.
I hope there's no baggies, because that'll be a mess.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, and so I guess you didn't expect this type of a wave either. You were kind of more.
No, I was thinking. I like the idea of the versus packs that you guys had. I thought, once I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, that's probably what we're getting.
Yeah.
But again, no real expectation. So And they always, the good thing about Four Horsemen is they love to not necessarily misdirect, but they give us what we want when we least expect it.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of that. Yeah, and hopefully in November there'll be more of that. I'm sure there will. And
absolutely.
And maybe in the meantime, that's the other thing. This pre-order goes till the end of June, and who knows what's coming up after that.
They did say it was going to be a Mythic heavy year.
Yeah, so okay, there's 10 here now, but like there's still a lot of the year left, so we'll have to see. What about the reuse? I think we're used to reuse in this wave, but
that's
you or
no. I mean, I've been collecting Mythics for a while, and I think anybody that has been, what to expect. Like, this is a reuse line. It is a customizer friendly line. It's a pop and swap line. It's all those things. While the figure can be great on its own, so. Yeah, it's just, I expect it, I expect it in every single wave.
Yeah.
But it's just part of it.
Totally. Gotcha. And the kind of one faction or the one character from each faction, apart from, we didn't get one in Noble Bearer or Red Star, but I mean, we've just got.
Yeah, I know Rich is probably pretty disappointed in that we didn't get a Noble Bearer announcement. So I'm right there with you, man. Like, I feel that one. No, yeah, they definitely spread it around, and it being the year of Noble Bear and Rising Suns, like I understand that. We just had a huge wave of that, so it's okay to skip it.
What factions are your favorites? Or
I'm a Noble Bear guy. Yeah, that's traditional barbarians. I want half naked men and women swinging swords.
You were He-Man as a kid and stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Radio. And if you could only order one figure from this wave, what you got?
I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to say Goblin 2-pack. That Goblin 2-pack is great.
Yeah, that's allowed. It is.
With it.
The pig face one is amazing.
Some great head sculpt, some great pieces. We're getting some dwarf bodies, like I'll take a couple extra dwarf bodies.
Yeah.
That's a great set. That is, that was the highlight for me, for sure.
And I think when you look at the parts, some of those parts are the ones coming on the Dwarf 2-pack that we had from the Rising Suns, and we might actually get the Goblin 2-pack actually before that, which is funny.
I guess that timing would kind of work out like that. That's the nice thing about using, almost full reuse waves, is we get them quicker.
Absolutely. And then what about the future then, based on this wave? Has this kind of changed anything you think about what's coming down the line? Obviously there's talk about a dragon and all that kind of stuff.
The dragon is one of those things that I think everyone expects, and every time we don't get it announced, like you feel a little deflated. So I think that's eventually a thing. I'm okay with waves like this. I like the story-based waves. I'm starting to think now we're going to get a lot of waves based on one version 2 character, and then a bunch of extra figures just like this. And I'm perfectly okay with that. That's a really cool way to get those highly sought after pieces in your collection and get a lot of extra stuff in the meantime.
Yeah, when you look at those figures that, the standard $37 figures in this wave, I think there's 3 of them. There's, I think, Azza, the cat guy, and is it the skeleton or no?
Yeah, those would be technically.
The skeleton. Sorry. That's pretty good value there for what you're getting.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a great wave, and just
lots of extra pieces.
This is one of those waves where I need just about everything. Yeah, there's, I'm not super keen on the gold skeletons, but like everything else is like very welcomed in the collection. And multiples, right? Like there's, when they show off the Mercurian head with the, what was it, Iosef? Yeah, that's like, okay, I need 2 of those because now I need to build a Mercurian and an Aetheron Mercurian. Yeah,
for sure. We had a little watch along in the Discord, and there was a few of us there, and the first thing I said was, when I saw that, was like, oh my God, the Mercurian helmet. Yeah. Because if anyone has ever had any experience of painting those, there's a lot of little details on them. And when you can get a new one factory painted,
Yep.
That's a lot of work you don't have to do yourself.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the times I like to sit back and wait for this because they're eventually going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So no, I'm very
for sure.
happy with
there's
it.
no point in chasing an Otho, is there?
No, just at some point it's going to happen. I think as far as purchasing, like I'm looking at 2 all-ins on this one. Like I just said, like I think there's a lot of building here. Like there's a lot of fleshing out.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with those builder packs, and obviously the characters themselves. The goblins have a load of new parts, and yeah, a lot of versatility. People are already posting different things about what you can swap. Like, for example, even the gold skeleton. If you have a scaphoid, I think people are saying those parts are going to mix very well together. So
it's going to be a fun.
There's going to be a lot of awesome stuff. Yeah,
I can't wait for the pop and swap.
Was it the pop? Yeah, the pop and swap show with Joe and Jeremy, and then next year, it mightn't be for next year, but the next pop and swap stars competition that Legion's Lounge have. If these parts are available, there'll be a lot of fun stuff there.
And there's some good stuff coming out of that contest too.
Absolutely, there sure is. Yeah. We could do with a couple of those figures as well being made.
Absolutely.
Maybe that'll be something down the line.
Yeah, no kidding.
In 10 years' time, when they're really like, okay, what do we make now? I tell you what, we'll make a creative character.
Great idea.
It is good, yeah. All right, Jade, that was awesome. Thanks for your thoughts on this wave, and looking forward to seeing you in November with the boys.
I'm going to try and smuggle up a con pie across the country. So we'll try to make it happen this time.
Absolutely, yeah. Even if you can't get a full pie, maybe just a slice, and we can share it.
Something. I might be bringing you a recipe card if it doesn't work.
Yeah. I come back home, I got a recipe.
Yeah, perfect. No, thanks for having me on, John.
I might have to scramble in. Yeah, no problem, Jade. I might have to scramble into Walmart before I go in case there's some ingredients I can't get on this side.
There you go.
You never know.
There you go.
Cheers, Jade.
Yep, we'll see you around, man.
My wallet is sobbing. I can hear it in the hall now. It is breaking down, crying.
So another one of our awesome Patreon supporters is here. It's all the way from Nevada on the west coast of the United States. It's Joe Gonsalves. How are you, Joe?
I'm very good, John. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, yeah, for a Monday. We're doing this on a Monday, so, Joe does slightly irregular hours, so we managed to get a recording on a Monday. Usually it's weekends if I want to try and get people in the States, so this worked out very nicely for me. So thanks for that, Joe.
For me too.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And you've got a nice little Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain in the background. I love that.
Yeah. I mean that's being a Masters of the Universe. I'm not a nostalgia collector. That's one thing that I've tried to avoid was buying figures just because I liked them when I was a kid. They have to be. It's a rule I put on myself to keep from going broke, was that I'm only going to buy things that are good quality, not just because it's characters that I watched when I was young. But the Masters of the Universe Classics line, I was a huge fan of because they were the characters reimagined how I imagined them in my mind anyways, when I was a kid and I was, playing with those toys, that's how I felt about them. Yeah. And then they made figures that were just what my imagination was. So they had I picked up the castles.
Yeah, they had the advantage of the quality and the nostalgia. So that was a pretty good combo.
Yeah, they definitely got me on that one. And then when I first started streaming, I was just hanging a black curtain behind me, and they were always making fun of me about being in a cave or in the bunker and things like that. So I was like, I'd better do up something that maybe seems a little more professional. So I threw the castles in the background.
Much better, and also a little bit of collector envy as well. That's awesome.
That never hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually a good way of explaining how you might collect legions, because if you don't collect on nostalgia, I'm the same. I just like awesome stuff. So that's where Legions kind of fits into it, isn't it?
Yeah, I got into Mythic Legions actually because of I've been playing. I'm 47 right now. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop game, when I was 15, and have been a huge fan of it. I've been playing my entire adult life. So when I saw Mythic Legions, there was no medieval style fantasy figures that were near that quality. So when I saw them, it was just mind blowing, like, wow, I have to get all of these, so
absolutely. So do you do
connection from Dungeons and Dragons? Yeah.
And do you do a bit of DMing then in Dungeons and Dragons, or are you a player mostly?
I do actually. Yeah. I started as a player, but it didn't take very long that I was like, ooh, I want a crack at the storytelling. So over the years, that has been the majority of the gaming I've done has been as a dungeon master. Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised that there hasn't been a game of D&D breaking out at Legions Con yet. So maybe this year is the year between you. I know Jesse Arnold is a fan. Obviously, we know Pete McCarthy from My Web's Going to Kill Me. He's a big fan. So maybe it's time and we can use the Legions figures and have a little bit of spectators around and everything. That would be an awesome idea. And maybe it's something that will happen. Who knows?
It would be fun. So the guys that I role play with don't collect Mythic Legions, but I actually did a game where I let them come in and look at my collection and pick figures from the collection, and we made characters based off of those figures, which and that was a lot of fun because we ended up with some pretty interesting things, like a Minotaur that was a wizard. And that's something that you don't see in the in the classic Dungeons and Dragons nearly as much, but it was a lot of fun for that so it was a lot of fun. So I would be all in for something like that, definitely.
Very good, guys. Well, let's make it happen. And then Ashes of Agbendor, Joe, we've had a couple of days to digest it. How are you feeling about it? How did you feel it then, and how do you feel now? Has anything changed, or?
I don't know if anything has changed. I, of course, was blown away by every reveal. I have the whole collection, so I know I'm going to buy them all before the announcements are even made. But when these start popping up, and there's things like the Goblin 2-pack. I can't get just one of the Goblin 2-pack. It's 4 characters.
Yeah,
but I don't know if 2 is enough, because of all the new parts, because I also, customize too. So it's like, there's bare thighs that are goblin sized. I could use a few of those. So mostly the last few days have been spent with me jumping back and forth. Like, you have a budget, you can't go broke over this wave, and me going, absolutely, but there's so many things that I want,
Yeah.
So
I mean, the sweet.
I usually wait till the last days of the pre-order, just so that I can narrow it down to what my actual finances allow me to do, and then I'll, a day before the end of it, then I'll finally go make that final decision after flip-flopping back and forth.
I mean, the awesome thing about this wave is they're trying to get it out to us within the year, like within 12 calendar months. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty sweet. If if you're thinking about customs, that's actually a realistic timeline for getting parts. It's tougher with say the likes of the Necronominous waves, which we know is going to take nearly 2 years, even when we're ordering it. So as much as you're looking forward to those parts, it is quite a trip in the future before you get to play with them. So this is a little bit shorter, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the shorter turnarounds, even though I am very patient. I don't think there's been a wave yet that I haven't gotten and felt like it was worth the wait for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had that with other. I've had that with other toy lines, but never with Mythics. So I'm very happy about that. And Do you ever do a thing where you might order an all-in from the Horseman, and then when the wave starts shipping, then you're onto your local retailer or whatever, and you might get a couple of extras? Do you ever do that approach, or is that too risky for missing out?
I do. It all depends on what I can afford to get at the time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I know that there's been some waves where, like Necronominus, I was in a pretty good spot financially. So I ordered so many, I don't think that I'm going to need to go to the retailers unless something pops into my head that I didn't think of at the time. But there's been waves where I just had to get like one all in because that was, what I could afford at the time. And then I'll pick up. And then there's always things like Jeremy dropping his story about the swigs. So I'm like, oh, well, reading that story now, I need to have 3 swigs,
you don't
in my
need 1,000,
display.
that's for sure.
Because I can't do 1,000, but I did decide to do one for each faction because they're sent out to be, because I display them by faction. So they're sent out to be spies. So I've decided I want one swig in the background of each faction.
That's a good
display
idea.
So that it actually shows. And I'm going to pop and swap some where they're, in disguise, or wearing outfits that fit in better with the good factions, so I'm going to have some fun with that. So I've talked myself into buying like 6 more swigs. So,
No harm. But when things like Necronominus show up after you've, pre-ordered a good chunk of them, that's like free figures, isn't it? When they show up eventually, it is a little bit like that.
Yeah, I actually prefer the pre-order over like here we have Big Bad Toy Store, which is one of the big ones, and you place your pre-order, and then when it comes in, they just take the money out of your account.
Yeah, it's a little
figures.
It's a little bit like whoa.
Yeah. You'll get an email like 2 hours before it happens, and you're just like, "Uh-oh, I wasn't ready for this."
Scrambling. Have I enough to cover that
to
that credit card? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wish they had an option to pay in advance, because I almost exclusively prefer to pay in advance. So that way, when I get it, I know it's paid for and ready, and I don't have to worry about future finances.
Or even more sweet if they had this pre-order is going to be a year long, so if you want to pay it in 4 installments, that would be sweet, or something like that,
Yeah, things like that, definitely.
Yeah.
So,
but very good. So this wave then, what are you thinking about custom wise then? What's standing out for you here?
Oh, I things pop into mind for almost every figure. I think big ones that pop out to me, the Frost Ogre. Before my action figure customs shut down, I had picked up a few heads from them, ogre heads that were like a Frost Ogre type of head.
Awesome.
Maybe like 2 or 3 of them. That I had been sitting on, just hadn't gotten around to doing a Frost Ogre. Well, now the bodies are done, so I might do some of those. The Kaipacha, man, that'll, because he has a crew, but it's only 3 people, and it's like there's a lot that could be done with that,
The parts on him is you could do so many different customs. That's a great build,
Oh yeah. And I love going along a theme when I'm doing a group of customs, so it's like, oh, this is the thief gang, that always helps me find some inspiration too.
Yeah. That kind of
the blue shield soldier. Yeah, right. The blue shield soldier. Now I'm a huge fan of the original Knight builders. I have like 3 of each of the original Knight Builder and Knight Builder 2, because I just love the variety and pop and swap and the things that you can, use that for. So, that one is a big one for me, just because of all the variety of parts. You can do so much with it. And, when we did the after party on Offworld, Trevor was saying that photo he took of the 3 knights are the 2 in the background are actually Valiant knights that he just brightened the colors with Photoshop.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so that right there, like, well, I've got a spare Valiant knight, so I'm going to be digging through my Legion builders and seeing which ones to hang on to, to use some of those parts on.
Yeah, I was quite happy.
Shui is
a few Valiant knights. Yeah, sorry, Shui.
Oh, go ahead, John. Just Shui. I love the adventurer look of him. The way that he's wearing a jacket instead of robes, and he has the boots. He reminds me of an adventurer wizard right off the bat. So
totally, yeah.
I'm already, formulating some ideas for like a custom to put with like a D&D adventure party. Because he fits just right in with that aesthetic. The gold skeleton too is such a great look.
Yeah, they really leveled up. I really like
the story. Yeah. I personally really enjoyed the gold skeleton. I have a few in my collection. I liked popping and swapping the gold skeleton with the gold knight so that it's just all gold. That's like, I think people call it a desk figure, just a figure that I leave sitting around to play with. It looks like something from an Indiana Jones movie or something.
Totally, yeah.
I really enjoy doing that. Yeah. So, but adding the translucent wings and stuff, it's such an upgrade. I'd love to add some more of those. Super excited about the angel figure. I have, I think, 5 angels in my collection right now.
Nice.
I use them as like an honor guard for Etheron and Xylona. So,
nice.
It'll be nice that, to finally have some variety. I can add a few more angels too. So I might go heavy on that one.
Nice. Yeah. And you got some gold skeleton
and then
angels as well.
Yeah. The whole thing just, I mean, this is what I do is just I'll spend the whole pre-order window just pumping myself up for all the things that I could do for the characters,
Brilliant.
And I have the original Azza, so that wasn't one that I was really thinking about, but man, the new one looks so good, and the extra accessories that they added to her, I think she's going to be a lot of fun to play with.
Well, tell me, if you could only order one, I know that's a tough ask for you. What would you order if you could only order one?
That is a tall order right there.
That's why it's a good question.
But it is a good question. I think I'd have to go with the angel.
Nice.
That's so my favorite class to play in Dungeons and Dragons is the paladin, an Aasimar paladin, which is so like an angelic character. Yeah. So there's that fit with it too, with the wings and the white armor, but also just the angel characters. I feel like compared to everything else are probably underrepresented in the line.
Yeah, totally.
We got the one angel, and then that was it. We just didn't get anything else, and that was a race that I was just like, I want to know more about them. And this is super exciting to me that even their lore has been expanded. So
and I mean, Etheron is the perfect faction for that kind of a character, and to expand a bit more variety within that faction. It's not just a bunch of Templars.
Absolutely.
And then
right, which is
and then you've got your all-in box.
Definitely the direction they've gone. Yeah.
For sure. You've got your all-in box coming to you. But unfortunately, I've managed to steal a figure out of it. Which one would you be least upset about if I stole one out of your all-in?
Oh boy, that's a tough one too. I this is probably not not going to be a popular one for most people, I'd think, but I'd say the Azza Spirit Bender. Since I have the original, I guess I would feel like it would be the least of a great loss, you know?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, there is a certainly an upgrade there, but you've still got one in your collection, whereas with a lot of the other ones,
right.
You know,
are pretty unique. Yeah,
absolutely.
So that was a tough one.
Well, I'll let you recover from that, Joe. Thanks very much for the chat.
Sure.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Look out for this episode in a couple of weeks. And great chatting to you. And thanks for all your support on the Patreon. I say it for my two co-hosts as well. You've been awesome supporting us from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys are doing a great thing. I look forward to your episodes every week, and I super appreciate this opportunity to come on and have a chat with you for sure. So thank you very much.
Cheers. So I'm here, the final interview of this whole series. I hope you enjoyed it. And maybe we saved the best to last. Who knows? We'll have to find out. It's the wholesome warlock himself. It's Jordan. How are you, Jordan?
I'm absolutely wonderful, John. Thanks for having me.
Despite the fact that you're without your brother in arms there, he's off sunning himself.
Yeah, he's hunting alligators in the Cayman Islands. So, pray for his safety and his safe return.
Well, as he's a ginger there, I hope he brought the factor 50.
He actually hired a personal assistant to carry around an umbrella, shielding him from the sun. So he should be fine.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, because we don't want anyone this day and age to be getting sunburn. It's not a good thing. It's definitely, he's not going to go purple, is he? You don't want him to go red.
No, definitely can't go Fury Van. And, being sunburned is probably his arch nemesis. So I know for a fact he puts on SPF 1 million every 6 minutes on the minute.
Yeah.
Prevent that on top of the personal assistant with the umbrella.
Yeah, people think he's playing whiteface, you know? Yeah. Maybe he'll come back purple when the umbrella guy punches him in the eye. He'll have a nice little purple black eye.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful purple bruise.
Yeah. Or when he's had a few too beverages at the bar, the barman is going to give him an old
Luckily for him, the drinks are extremely overpriced down there. He was just telling me $15, and they include per drink, and so you'll probably
you can get a bottle of the good stuff for $15 probably where you are, I guess.
Not necessarily the good stuff, but way better.
Pretty decent stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Enough to have a good night on anyway.
But he took a trip out to the local Cayman Islands liquor store and remedied that solution, so he should be having some fun.
He wasn't on the all-in, deal on the hotel or whatever.
Nah, it was like a work trip, so.
How is it? Okay. Wow, Van he's actually got responsibilities. He doesn't give that impression,
Oh, he's very responsible. It's just, that's just a character he plays on TV, John.
He lets loose when he's in his free time. I like that. Yeah, I like those people. They work hard and play hard.
Absolutely,
I love it.
Purple jeans.
Anyway, Jordan, as I've got to the end of these interviews, I've almost forgotten about what we're talking about. Well, we are supposed to be here to have a little chat about the ashes of Agbendor from the Four Horsemen. And I did see there was a little bit of purple there. So give us your overall thoughts on the wave and what how you're feeling. Probably quite good.
Absolutely amazing. A little bit of purple. Every single figure in the entire wave, with the exception of the blue shield soldier and Kai Pacha, have purple. Every single figure. That's it's pretty awesome.
It's a win, I knew it was your cat on that stream the other night.
It wasn't my cat. I was at Van. He doesn't have cats.
Oh, does he not? Oh, okay.
He does not. No. He has a...
Kitty is the one. Background noise is definitely acceptable.
Okay.
So we're good with that.
Very
exactly. We're cat people,
Exactly. I love my kitties, but truly overwhelmed by how much I love this wave. It's probably my favorite wave to date. And
wow.
Not only for getting new lore, but just getting, a few new parts in the wave. Absolutely love them.
Totally.
the Goblins of Gob Hollow, those beautiful purple shoes and that beautiful purple skirt piece. Lovely.
Yeah, we were actually saying on our show that it was burgundy, but would qualify as purple. And I guess that's what we get confirmed here from the man himself.
We claim burgundy as a purple.
I think you can, yeah. I definitely think you can, you know.
I would say the sway robes are more burgundy than those purple parts for the goblins, but either way, they're all purple.
Yeah. Well, we'll see when Trevor's blue light is taken off them. We'll see them in the cold light of day, and then we'll know for sure.
Yeah. Once we get them in hand, we can take them out into the natural sunlight and judge for ourselves.
Exactly. Seeing as Trevor's getting so much love in the community at the moment, you know, I thought we could give him another little dose of reality about his blue light, you know.
Yeah. I think those purple gang lads playing their blue light Trevor rap is all the poking and jabbing that is necessary.
I love it. You guys definitely have the monopoly on the poking and jabbing. I love it.
We try not to, though. You know, we like to give everybody their fair shake. But ultimately, you know, if you don't like it, all you got to do is tell us, you know.
Yeah, true. You know, I think people that don't like it's probably just because you haven't poked and jabbed at them, you know.
Hey, slide into my DMs. I'll send you my cash app. We will poke.
It's almost the most exciting. It's always the most exciting thing about you know, at the end of a weekend is when either Mal or Rich goes, "Oh, the Purple Guys, they had a song about us, or they had a meme about us on their show." It's like, yes,
it's so great.
We made it this week. It's like the news, you know. It's like the kind of satire news or whatever it is, you know. It's like if you make it on there, then you kind of know you're doing something right.
It's like the old South Park reference, you know, if you haven't made it on South Park or The Simpsons, you know, whatever, it's just like you haven't made it yet. But
yeah, you made it here.
Yeah.
And what I do really appreciate about you guys is that you focus on the positive. So I love that. I think that's a very underrated thing these days. So much love for all that kind of stuff. Were you expecting this kind of a wave in the Ashes of Agbendor? Had you been sucked up with all our stupid predictions and all the other shows that were predicting version 2s and all this kind of crack?
I like to think about it, but also it's just kind of like a wish list for me. I mean, you guys did say there was going to be like a new, like learned figure, which that's way. So, I mean, you hit the head.
True. Yeah. We take that one. Yeah. And I think Rich had Azza, and then the rest is a little bit of a blank, I would say, but you know, we had fun along the way. You know, that was the main thing.
Great episodes all around. You know, it's just fun. you guys probably nail the predictions way more than any other show. You know what I mean?
We try.
You should take pride in that. You do extremely well with that. But
we love doing those episodes because they're just so much fun. And I always have, like, Mal is really, as you know, we always call him sitting on the fence, Mal. It's because he kind of really wants to think about it right and actually get it right. And I have to say to him, Mal, just say what you think. Don't worry about getting it right.
Yeah. There's no marks for this, you know.
No, there isn't. No, there's a little bit of bragging rights when you get a tiny little detail correct that might be a bit left field, you know. Definitely. Nobody's going to get marks for predicting Otho at G-Con, possibly. You know?
Exactly. But you know, these Blue Shield soldiers that just dropped with Jeremy's new story that dropped, you know, like that's Otho through and through, right? You know, only the second in command of the army of Lee Odysseus wears a blue tabard. Who wears a blue tabard, John?
Isn't it Otho? Yeah.
I think it is. I think you're right. Let's check. Judges, it's Otho.
10 out of 10. Woo-hoo.
But you know, that's got me a little sad too, right? Because it's like the Blue Shield soldiers, that selfless sacrifice, they gave everything to, you know, for the army.
That was pretty sad, yeah.
Yeah, it really was, you know, like...
and we're probably going to get more sadness maybe in G-Con because they're probably going to tell us about maybe some of the more prominent people that kind of fell in this part of the story. So, you know, you get a few named characters hitting the dirt. Yeah. That's not great.
You know, they might die on paper, but they'll always live on in our hearts.
Definitely, yeah. And definitely on our shelves, you know.
Definitely.
And in our own headcanon.
Unless they're at 2.0 that falls off the shelf. That's it.
Well, that's what the stands are for. You know, that's what I'm going to say.
Those 4 horseman stands are perfect.
They are. They need to... Do they have them at shows generally? Or
sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Not at every show, right? Like you never know what's going to be on the table. But there weren't any stands at the Maryland Toy Show, but there were stands at Toylanta. There were stands at ZoloCon. I don't think there were stands at MegaCon. So it's hit or miss.
Yeah, I generally, there has been a couple of pre-orders where they've had the stands, and I generally throw in an order for 10 stands. Usually doesn't jack up the shipping, so that's what I kind of do. And I've kind of probably got 30 or 40 stands at this point just from that, you know.
Definitely.
Like I remember I got my Poxus order in and I was like, oh, I ordered 10 stands. Well done, John. In the past. Long in the past at that stage.
You really can't have too many stands. And, you know, worst case scenario, they are available on Big Bad Toy Store. You can buy them individually. Okay. You can buy them by the 10-pack. There's a little bit of markup. You know, like at shows, they typically sell for $5 a piece.
Yeah.
On Big Bad Toy Store, they're like $8 or $9. So
okay, but still not the worst.
Too crazy, but yeah.
If you had that one or, you know, if you had that one or two figures that you just really needed a stand for. For example, I use one for Morgulith because she was driving me crazy, and then when I got my first batch of stands, I was stuck her in a stand, and she's just made me happy since, because she's there on the shelf. She looks badass. She's kind of, you know, commanding her little skeleton shelf there. And I don't have to worry about her being on the floor when I come in the morning, you know?
It's a good feeling.
So it's a good feeling. It's a very good feeling. And so you as you were at the latest kind of Horseman, I know it was a street team with the awesome folks at Wolf King Customs, but did they have, what did they have at the table in general? Did they have the Figura Obscura, the Anubis?
They did. There was a whole case of Anubis and Bastet. You had to buy them both together.
Yeah, okay, they were still selling as a double. Gotcha.
Yeah, they don't want, you know, I'm pretty sure the reasoning behind that is they don't want to end up, I'm sure they wouldn't end up with any of them left over because they're both amazing figures, but it would just be really weird if one of them sold out a lot quicker than the other. Then it's kind of like,
Yeah, then you have the people come and going, oh, I need a Bastet or I need a Anubis, you know. They're like, sorry, I only have this one. So I do get it. Especially at this stage when it's so new, you know?
Definitely. And there'll be more opportunities later for it. And
anything else worth shouting out that you saw that was kind of maybe not expecting to see at the table?
There were some reissues. Not all 14 of them were on the table.
All right.
But there were, I think probably eight of the 14 reissues were there. They had some older dwarf builders that you really don't see too often with the gold antlers.
Oh yeah, the bronze dwarf, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know if it was bronze or not. It just said dwarf builder.
Oh, okay. But I think the gold antlers are, I think they're called the bronze dwarf from Reinforcements 1. I think so anyway. Let's not be too nerdy about that.
Not important. Pretty my calculations. No, but yeah, that little fellow was there. Some other Figura was there. Pretty much all of the Figura Obscura sold out. I don't think Wolf King in the studio left with any Figura. So everything they brought was gone.
That they're a very, you know, good con purchase, especially if you're not collecting either of the big lines, but you want a couple of these figures and you're past that table. That's a great way to get in, get a couple of the Figuras.
Definitely. They're kind of like the modern day Motu tributes, right? Like they're eye-catching. They bring people into the line. Once they get Figura Obscura, they can't stop there. It's like a Pringles can. They just keep like, oh, I'm going to get some Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions. This is really cool.
Exactly, yeah. It's like they're a business or something. You know, sometimes we forget that.
You know, shout out to the Chief Enabling Officer, the Director of Sales and Marketing.
Mr. Gerard, yeah, exactly. There's a podcast named in tribute to him.
Exactly.
Love those guys. Right. Now, we could talk all night and that would be awesome. And that's for another time. But now I need to get you out of here. So I got two very difficult questions that I've asked everyone on this little trip.
Purple.
Number one is which figure in this wave, if I said you can only order one, sorry, times are tough, inflation and all that crap, what figure are you going to go for?
Bang for my buck, Goblins of Gob Hollow.
Oh, that's a great, a few shout outs for that. I think that's definitely, it's allowed, firstly, because it's just one thing. And secondly, it's a great choice. And then somebody, the postman has dropped your all in on your step. A sneaky little van has come along and he's about to steal one out of your all in, but only one. Which one would you be least upset about?
Sorry, Rich, but Shadow Centaur.
Yeah. Okay. A very popular answer as well. Yeah. Unfortunately for the Shadow Centaur.
Clip clop. It's just hard for me with the stealth portion of a centaur. You know, you're not sneaking up on people. Clip clop, clip clop, clip clop.
No.
Do you guys hear that?
You know what? He needs big fluffy slippers for his hooves. You know, those really big fluffy ones you get.
Hoof silencers.
Yeah. Usually kids would get them, but you know, Shadow Centaurs, maybe that's the thing for them. Yeah, I kind of feel like I should get a few Shadow Centaurs now, because in about 4 years' time they'll be so under-ordered they'll be very rare, judging by this conversations I've had. Yeah, okay, we're not that type of person. Jordan, thanks a million. This has been awesome. Great to chat to you, and can't wait for Legions Con. In the meantime, you enjoy IshCon and all the other shenanigans that you get up to. Where can people catch you every week?
Every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the official Purple Gang Gang channel on YouTube.
Awesome. Even the cat agrees. Awesome. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks for having me,
John.
For the time.